Cities. Facts, Controversy and Impact, 2025. Recently, President Donald Trump has made headlines by deploying National Guard troops and military units to major U.S. cities such as Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., with plans to expand deployments to other cities including Chicago and Detroit. This unprecedented federal action is presented as a crackdown on rising crime and disorder but has ignited intense debate regarding its legality, necessity, and impact on civil liberties. In this video, we will break down what's happening, where and why these deployments are occurring, and what various stakeholders are saying about this controversial strategy. Stay tuned, and be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. The National Guard and military forces have already been deployed in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., where President Trump declared crime emergencies and assumed federal control over local law enforcement operations. These measures have provoked strong reactions from local officials and residents alike. Looking ahead, Trump has indicated plans to send military forces to additional cities, including Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, and New York. Notably, many of these cities are governed by Democratic leaders. This expansion has become a national flashpoint, raising critical questions about federal authority, public safety, and civil rights. As we explore this contentious topic, viewers are encouraged to think critically about the facts and perspectives presented. Consider the complex implications for public safety, civil liberties, and community trust. This issue encompasses a range of viewpoints, and your thoughtful input is valuable. Please share your honest opinions and questions in the comments below so that we can foster a respectful and meaningful conversation. On August 25, 2025, President Trump signed an executive order directing the Secretary of Defense to establish specialized National Guard units specifically trained to address public safety challenges, including civil unrest, across every state and the District of Columbia. These rapid reaction forces are designed for quick mobilization, equipped to support federal, state, and local law enforcement in cities where crime emergencies are declared. This initiative marks an expansion of the military's role in domestic law enforcement beyond traditional limits. Whereas National Guard units typically operate under state governors' authority, the executive order enhances federal involvement, allowing the deployment of troops without necessarily requiring local consent. Currently, these specialized units have been activated in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. The Los Angeles deployment began in June 2025, involving approximately 700 Marines and 4,000 National Guard members amid protests and crime concerns, despite opposition from California Governor Gavin Newsom. In Washington, D.C., approximately 2,300 armed National Guard troops have been deployed since mid-August, with the city's police temporarily federalized under federal authority. Looking forward, President Trump has publicly targeted Chicago as the next potential deployment site, with military planning reportedly underway. Additional cities under consideration include Detroit, Baltimore, New York, San Francisco, and Oakland, largely urban centers led by Democratic officials. These deployments are part of a broader strategy focusing on addressing urban crime challenges amid politically charged national discourse. The administration justifies these measures as necessary support for local law enforcement, emphasizing a crackdown on crime and the restoration of law and order. Executive orders create specialized units intended to provide additional manpower and resources for suppressing disturbances, enforcing laws, and protecting federal property. However, critics dispute the crime data referenced by the administration and warn against the risks of militarizing policing, heightened civil liberties violations, and federal overreach. Supporters argue these actions provide essential federal assistance when local authorities face challenges maintaining public safety. The timeline began with the initial deployment to Los Angeles in June 2025. In August, troops were deployed to Washington, D.C., with federalization of the city's police force for 30 days. The Trump administration proclaims these operations successful, citing crime reductions, though local crime data indicates trends were declining prior to intervention. Additional deployments, particularly Chicago, are planned amid ongoing legal and political disputes. State governors, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, and city officials like Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, have opposed troop deployments, arguing they are unnecessary and potentially unconstitutional. The legal basis for these deployments involves a complex interaction of federal laws and executive orders. While governors typically command state National Guards, the president can federalize these forces under statutes such as the Insurrection Act and 10 U.S.C. Section 12406, particularly in cases of insurrection or inability of states to enforce laws. The unique federal control over the District of Columbia allows more direct presidential authority there without gubernatorial approval. Opposition from some governors underscores ongoing debates about executive power, federalism, and state sovereignty. The possible invocation of the Insurrection Act to expand deployments could provoke significant constitutional challenges as well as public protests. Prior to these interventions, cities targeted for deployments exhibited varied crime trends and social challenges. In Los Angeles, early 2025 crime data showed mixed outcomes. While homicides, aggravated assaults, and robberies declined, reports of domestic violence and drug-related offenses remained steady or slightly increased. Property crimes such as motor vehicle theft remained above pre-pandemic levels. Community concerns about homelessness, drug abuse, and civil unrest complicated public safety challenges. Washington, D.C.'s data is similarly complex. Although federal officials cited rising crime to justify deployments, local police data reflected decreases in many violent crimes over prior years, including homicides and armed robberies, despite pockets of concentrated gun violence. Chicago and Detroit continue to grapple with historical crime rates and systemic social issues like poverty and understaffed police forces, setting the context for proposed federal intervention. Nationally, the Trump administration frames these deployments as decisive actions to restore law and order by confronting escalating crime and civil unrest. President Trump characterized Washington, D.C., as overwhelmed by violent gangs, drug addiction, and homelessness, asserting the need for federal intervention and declaring a liberation of the capital. Conversely, local reactions have been mixed to critical. In Los Angeles, officials and residents cited declining crime rates and ongoing homelessness initiatives, characterizing military deployments as unnecessary in a troubling militarization of law enforcement. Governor Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass warned of potential civil rights infringements. In Washington, D.C., Mayor Muriel Bowser dismissed claims of a crime wave and noted a 30-year low in violent crime. Public protests around federal law enforcement presence cited fears of authoritarian overreach. Similarly, Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson labeled planned deployments illegal and unnecessary, emphasizing community-driven approaches over military involvement. These differing narratives underscore the contentious nature of federal military deployments in American cities, touching on issues of public safety, civil liberties, and local autonomy. Post-deployment reports present mixed outcomes. CBS News analysis in Washington, D.C., indicates a nearly 50% reduction in certain violent crimes such as burglaries and car thefts within 3 weeks of troop presence, though experts caution correlation does not imply causation. In Los Angeles, crime rates showed negligible change after deployment. Most troops remained stationed at bases or federal properties instead of active street patrols. Critics argue the deployments were largely symbolic and raised concerns over militarizing the city rather than effectively improving safety. Governor Newsom has responded by expanding California Highway Patrol crime suppression teams, prioritizing traditional law enforcement collaboration over military presence. Community perception remains divided. While some residents express increased safety, others feel intimidated and worry about eroded trust between law enforcement and neighborhoods. Protests against militarized policing highlight tensions surrounding civil liberties. Evaluating the efficacy of these deployments remains contentious. Official reports cite meaningful crime reduction in D.C., but national data reveal many crime metrics were already trending downward. In Los Angeles, deployment showed little statistical impact while inflaming public anxiety. The operations carry significant financial costs, with estimates of around $1 million per day for Washington, D.C. deployments alone. Critics emphasize risks of militarization, strained civil-military relations, and escalating community mistrust. Public opinion is polarized. A Reuters Ipsos poll found 38% support these deployments nationally, with stark partisan divisions. 76% of Republicans approve compared to 8% of Democrats. Local voices vary widely. In D.C.'s Anacostia neighborhood, residents express mixed feelings. Some acknowledge frustrations with crime but remain wary of federal intervention. Officials like Mayor Muriel Bowser and Governor Newsom have vocally opposed troop presence, advocating local policing solutions. Civil rights groups decry threats to constitutional rights and civilian oversight, citing incidents of unmarked federal agents detaining civilians. Conversely, some law enforcement experts believe visible troop presence can deter criminal activity. Neighboring cities such as Baltimore have raised concerns that deployments could provoke spillover unrest, while regional officials align along political lines regarding federal involvement. President Trump plans to continue expanding deployments, focusing next on Chicago, with Pentagon preparations underway. He has also identified Detroit, Baltimore, New York, San Francisco, and Oakland as potential future sites. Trump has suggested he may deploy troops without awaiting governors' formal requests, an approach opposed by many local leaders who pledge legal resistance. This ongoing clash underscores intense debates over federal authority, local governance, and the appropriate role of the military in civilian law enforcement. Supporters assert federal presence could deter crime and bolster public safety in struggling urban centers. Early crime reductions in D.C. hint at short-term benefits. However, legal experts warn of constitutional conflicts including violations of the Posse Comitatus Act, civil rights erosion, and community alienation. Militarizing police risks exacerbating tensions and normalizing federal intervention in local matters. Military readiness may be compromised as troops are diverted from national defense to domestic operations. The long-term consequences for American society are still uncertain and will depend on political, legal, and community responses. Now, what do you think about these actions? Are these measures necessary to combat crime and restore safety, or do they risk harmful overreach and civil liberty violations? Polls show public opinion is divided, with support largely split along party lines. Please share your thoughts and questions in the comments. We welcome respectful and thoughtful dialogue. Thank you for watching this detailed analysis of President Trump's National Guard and military deployments in U.S. cities. If you found this content informative, please like, share, and subscribe to help spread awareness and foster meaningful conversation. Let's stay informed and engaged, because active political participation is vital for a functioning democracy. Remaining aware and involved in political decisions helps ensure leaders remain accountable and policies reflect community needs. Civic engagement empowers you to protect rights, promote justice, and shape the future. Stay informed. Stay engaged. Your voice matters.